So recently I've been doing a lot of videos around tension, around having, around intention. And I'll do a little playlist in this video down below. But all of that gets you more in the now. It gets you understanding what the now is, what this moment is, and how to create the reality of your dreams, right? It teaches you how to actually, it's almost like you let the reality of your dreams manifest because it wants to manifest. And the question is, are you even creating it, or is it being created around you as you surrender? And this is a big question. As you surrender more and more to your true self and you dissolve more of the ego and you get more in touch with who you really are inside, this amazing life starts to blossom around you. It's a life that's better for you than anything you could have imagined from your ego. So as you disidentify with the ego, as I disidentify with Brian, which is really a product of the ego, and I become more identified with the energy that flows through me and expresses itself as Brian. That's a weird way to say it, but it's pretty accurate, I think. Then you begin to lead amazing lives. Like, look at my life here. Now, if you guys have followed my channel, you see I don't talk about red pill stuff. I don't talk about, statistics around women and how women are manipulating and stealing and men's money and how, all that stuff that's really negative. I just don't like to get into it because I would rather focus on what I want to create for myself, the reality I want to live. And I do that. I lead a really good life. Now, I personally believe, and this video is going to be a little bit random. I'm going to be all over the place with this video. By the way, before I get a little deeper into it, I want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share because we're moving in a new direction, and I think it's going to be a better direction. It's going to be pretty awesome. You're going to see changes coming into January where brianbajan.com is going to start to come out. truecourage.io is out there. We're going to start building all new stuff around understanding how to get the internals deeply right, more than I've ever done before, so that you can manifest the dating life and the relationships, the abundance of your dreams as a man. I'm also going to be launching some other channels around this principles, more professionally shot channels, another professionally shot channel. It's going to be all podcast-oriented interviews, going deep into these topics, and that's going to be for everybody, men, women. It's not going to be focused around men's stuff, but this channel right now is staying focused around the men's stuff. So let's dive in a little deeper now. I don't like to go into that stuff. I don't like to go into the negative stuff. Doesn't mean I don't look at it. You see, in positive thinking, they believe you shouldn't look at that stuff. I believe you should get to the point where the negative stuff is just negative stuff. So if somebody's being negative around you, you can keep your heart open. It just doesn't bother you. That's the whole concept of releasing. We'll be moving around for the light a bit. And I believe when you get to the point where I could be walking in a bad neighborhood and that feels heavy, energetically heavy, and still be open-hearted with love and not see it as bad. It's technically bad, but I don't see it that way. That's when I'm really beginning to understand what it is to be free and awake. This allows you to change your reality very easily. Well, I'm here because I have no resistance to here. I can shift over to there. I can create a new reality. I can travel out to Tulum and be on the beach. I can travel out to Colombia, where I may go next, and hang out with my friends in Colombia. I can travel to my friends in Romania and spend time with my friends in Romania. So as I talk about this and I think about it more and more, this ability to surrender to the moment is all about what I was talking about in the last few videos. It's about having the experience of having the experience before I have the experience. And since what I feel is that I go into this realm that I call the energetic now. It's not even a realm, it's here right now. It's not some fantasy in my mind. And it feels like I am creating this now. And it feels like I could see it coming and I'm allowing it to build around me. If you've ever seen the holodeck in Star Trek, that's kind of what happens. This world builds around you. I started imagining Tulum, and I did. I imagined Tulum for months before I came here. And I wasn't imagining it like I wasn't forcing this imagination. I wasn't willing it. I wasn't pushing it. I wasn't trying to jam it into my mind. It was kind of building and growing inside me like a plant, just a little bit at a time. At first, might be a little resistance to it. I don't want to go to Tulum. And then this guy offers me a property here to buy. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy the property, because it was a good deal. And then it's like, I should go see that property. And I feel this urge building inside of me. And I just nurture it like a plant. This is what wants to grow inside of me. I'm going to explore it. And it always ends up being better for me than what I thought I would truly want. Right now, I thought I'd be in a mountain town skiing all winter long. And I love skiing, and you guys know that. But there was a calling to come here, and now I understand why. There's also a calling to go to Colombia, but I didn't go there. And it has a lot to do with this having energy that grows inside of you. As I surrender more and more to these feelings that are in CAP, courage, acceptance, love, peace, appreciation, joy, gratitude, neutrality, as I let go of resistance to feeling that stuff more and more, I start to see what wants to be created through me. And sometimes what I want, a lot of times what I want, it's a mix of what I want and what I consider the divine or God wants. And they kind of mix together, and this reality starts to create around me. At first, I see it up here in my mind. Then I start to feel it with my heart. It's like a vague, non-specific feeling that's growing, like a seed turning into a plant. And then I just keep nurturing it along, and it starts to take on form. It starts to take on image. It starts to take on reality. Breadcrumbs start to show up. People start to call me, hey, I got this property in Tulum. Hey, Tulum's an amazing place. You should be in Tulum. You should meet my friend who's in Tulum who can help you with your business. This was an interesting one. As I'm doing more events here now, I actually set up some really exclusive events here in Tulum, all because of the connections I made when I got here. And then I'm like, well, I need a podcast studio, right, for my new channel. And where I'm going to do deeper podcasts, deeper content. And I kept thinking about it and asking people, and people were like, well, there's a podcast studio over here, but the owner's really kind of negative. Maybe you don't want to go there. And so I just kept putting it out to my friends. I said, I need a podcast studio. If you find one, let me know. Suddenly last night, the brand new, beautiful podcast studio popped up. They said it just opened, and it's two of my friends' good friends. Now I'm being introduced to them. See, life moves like this. It moves through surrender and through intention. Now, what did I just talk about there? I talked about this sense of intention. I set an intention, and then I just keep relaxing into it. I don't want the intention to come true. Because if I'm wanting to have something, right? Want to have. I am having the feeling of the intention happening. I'm seeing myself now in Tulum shooting podcasts almost energetically. Like I could picture the podcast studio. Let's say I wanted to do it on the beach. I could have the microphone there. I could be sitting there. I could be hanging out here and we're all laughing. And I just see it over and over. Sometimes in the beginning, if it's something I've got a lot of resistance to and I want to go deeper into that, it's a little rough. It's a little difficult. The things you have the most resistance to in the beginning are going to be the hardest to manifest. And so when I get clients, and this one's going to be all over the place, guys. I apologize. This video has no structure, and it intentionally has no structure. I'm out on this beach just flowing, and I'm just saying the stuff I want to say in this video. So sometimes when I get clients that want to manifest something, like let's say I want to manifest this podcast, and I'm seeing it, and it feels really good, and I can, embodied, I feel my heart kick up, and this warm, fuzzy endorphin response in my heart. And then I feel my stomach, my decisiveness kick up. I feel a little turn on running up my spine. I feel the grounding into the earth, right? And I'm feeling really good about this idea of creating this podcast, right? And I'm actually amplifying it right now, and the joy is running through my body. So I know something's going to happen, most likely with a podcast here. I've got 6 months worth of content coming out soon, guys, so watch out for that. Shot all that in Austin. Now, what's going to happen is if I have a lot of resistance to that, it's not going to feel good. For a lot of you, and when I get a lot of clients that want to meet women and they have tons of resistance to meeting women, and they're in this complete shut-off state, and they go to focus on women, their mind goes into what we call the spins. It goes into a race. It goes into frustration. It goes into anger. It goes into a fight inside, right? And they can't really go take the actions to get the women. But they first come to me, they're like, I got to figure out how to meet women. I got to figure out how to meet women. And so when you're trying to manifest something like that with tension and intention, and you're trying to experience the having energy, what happens? I want you to think about this for a minute. What happens? You first set the intention, which is the goal, the VAK goal, I call it. You know, we're really detailing this goal you're going to create in every sense of the imagination, like from visual, auditory, kinesthetic, smell and taste if you need to. And then your body goes into this immediate, huge resistance, right? And this resistance starts to hurt, starts to create suffering in your body. if you keep trying to take action, well, first thing that happens is people try to take action to compensate for that resistance. I'm going to go out and meet 30 women this weekend. I'm going to go out and get on Tinder and like every girl I see, and I'm just going to start texting like crazy. And because they have so much pain and suffering around meeting women, the first woman on Tinder that rejects them just disappears on them, or the first woman they approach that rejects them, it just crashes them because all that pain comes to the surface. So when I have a client that's that resistant to allowing something that they have a burning desire to manifest to come through them, I have to do work with them at a different level. And that might be you. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit more as we go deeper into this resistance of these goals and how you create them. It's a pretty amazing process when you think about it. So we're going to dive into that next. How do you get through a super resistant goal that you're stuck with, that you're bound on? So when I get a client that's having trouble manifesting their intention, what do? How do I help them? They've come to me, maybe they've been to a bunch of other coaches, it still hasn't manifested, they've taken tons of action, they burned themselves out taking action, and their mind is like, I've got to get this goal, I've got to get more women in my life, I've got to make $1 million. I've had both of those, by the way. I've got to build a new business, I've got to do it now. What's happening there? They're in force. They're wanting, having to, and force. It's kind of like this compounding interest of tension in their body, but there's no flow in that tension. It's too much tension. It's too much push. And sometimes that can work, right? If somebody is really close to their goal, that can work, right? Because they just state pump a little bit and they push and make it happen. But let's say, and if somebody in that push can surrender really well, then they can make it happen, because the push will cause the surrender and the opening and then allow the experience to come in. And then they'll swear it's all about force. I have to force my way into creating a goal over and over and over again. But the truth is that doesn't work for everybody, and the force actually wasn't as necessary as you think. A little bit is, yeah, definitely. And I've got systems to calibrate for that, how much force you should use. But in reality, a lot of clients come to me and they've been using force forever, and they start to build something that crashes. It starts to build something that crashes, or they get a little rejection and they just deflate and everything falls apart inside of them and they feel terrible about themselves. So what is going on there? What do you do when you have that? And how do you get to having, when every time you think about having, you go into massive resistance, you go into pain, you go into suffering? Like you start thinking about going out to get women and your whole body just wants to freak out inside. You think about going out to make money and it's just like the imposter syndrome and the doubt and the negative self-talk kicks up. What do you do about that? Well, the first step is you got to get clear on your goal. You got to get clear on what you want to create. You got to get good at releasing to let it go. But sometimes I have clients spend 6 months when they're really bound in their head and they're in what I call the spins perpetually, and they can't feel and they're reactive to everything. I'll spend them 6 months just learning to stop, learning to love the now, places like this, learning to feel good in their body, learning to enjoy life without the goal, kind of setting the goal aside for a bit. As soon as they're ready and they've got enough feeling, and you reach this point where you're actually starting to enjoy life, I have them reintroduce the goal, but not to get it. Let go of this whole idea of getting the goal. You reintroduce the goal so you can release on the idea of enjoying even looking at the goal. You can look at it and imagine this idea of beautiful women in your life, but you're not going to go get them right now. You're just going to play with this idea, because the action will send you through the roof. It'll put you back in the spins. So I'm going to release and welcome and meditate on women around me. I'm going to feel this, and as I do that, I'm going to get triggered again. But if I get triggered at just the right amount, mild amounts of trigger, and I can release on them every day, getting my heart open again, and I can start to feel good about what I'm seeing. I can start to laugh at my own triggering. I can start to become comfortable with being triggered. That changes everything. Matter of fact, I created a video a while back about the 3 stages to create anything. And the first one is loving the mundane. The second one is being comfortable being triggered. So you got to be comfortable being triggered reading your goal every day. You got to be comfortable being triggered getting rejected. And the rejections are going to come in a weird form when you're not going after the goal. You're just going to be out at a restaurant and a woman's going to look at you funny, and you're going to feel it because you're working on this area of your life. You're going to take a lot personal. You're going to make it mean something. And that's where the cleanup is. And that's why if the action's too much, it's going to trigger you too much to where you can't handle it at all, and you go into massive amounts of spins, then we've got to stop those actions for a little bit. Now, when you start to get really good, and this is what I do with clients, when they get good at enjoying life, they start to, and they always do, they find a spot where, wow, I like this part of my life. I'm reclaiming this part of my life. I'm reclaiming that part of my life. Then they start to write goals, and they start to, and I'm thinking of two right now, 2 clients I'm working with right now, and they start to imagine those goals, and from a distance. They're like, I can see that woman. Can I appreciate her from a distance, whether she looks happy or sad, grumpy or not grumpy? Can I appreciate her beauty and not feel like it has power over me? And I might have them spend a little bit of time doing that until they start to reach this point that they feel really good around women without trying to hit on them, without trying to flirt with them. Then we might introduce conversation with women, because we've got to ease the way in because they're so far out. Well, and by the way, this process works the same with money. And so we start to ease into this idea of meeting these women, and just socializing, learning to be giving for real and not giving with attachment, which is the giving that gets you manipulated. If you're giving with attachment, you are going to get manipulated, or they're going to attempt to manipulate you. When you start learning to truly be giving, nobody can manipulate you. And I might have to explain why that is in another video. I think I put it in one video once, but that's a whole deeper thing. And so as they start to learn to really love and appreciate people, women, life, and they get better and better at it, something amazing happens. They start to relax a lot in their body. They start to feel their heart more. They start to feel their stomach more. They start to really enjoy women. Yes, they get triggered and attracted. They let it go. They learn to handle their attraction without getting into wanting. They learn to relax and enjoying a woman while attracted. They learn to appreciate their turn on. And then something amazing happens. Your self-image really starts to come to the surface at this point. I need those women for Brian to feel good. And Brian feels about this big, and the women in me are this big. So as I start to clean up the image of Brian, and you can start to refer to Brian and your goals in a third-party perspective, or your name, and you start to see who you really are standing next to these beautiful women you want to date, or the money you want to have, or the health you want to have, and you start to clean up that whole internal self-image, learning to make the image of you bigger and bigger and bigger, you're starting to experience this having energy in your field. You see, up until that, the reason you're in wanting, and the reason we got to stop the wanting, is you're trying to get into their field to get value. You're trying to get value through them. But when you start getting value through your own field, through your own body, through your own grounding, the most beautiful woman in the world, and it's happened to me, a woman you think is absolutely amazing can reject you, and you're like, okay, no big deal. And sometimes that turns her around. She's like, wow, he's not taking it personal at all. Or another better woman shows up right afterwards, and it's pretty amazing to see. And you start to learn to dance with energy, because you can see now. When the anxiety comes down, the thinking comes down, the spins come down, the lack of grounding comes down, and you begin to feel through your whole body, you begin to perceive everything going on in the environment. And you're like, oh, I couldn't see all that before. I was stuck in my head. And that tells you what to say, when to say it, how to be. You drop into your turn on. You start to feel her through your body instead of trying to lean into her and get something out of her reality. And then she has somebody to relate to connect to. And the right woman starts to show up. And maybe it is the very woman you've been releasing on after you stop making her more important than you. After you stop seeing her as bigger than you or bigger than life. It's a real powerful come from. It's a really powerful realization. That's when you'll really begin to experience having through your whole body. I am valuable. I am important. I am magnetic. And the I am statements start to have power. If you say I am and you go into pain, you've got a story in there. But I am love. I am a great coach. I am really good at helping people get through this stuff. And that's why I love doing it. And I really care about this YouTube channel. I really care about my clients. I am someone who cares about his clients. It's really powerful when you think about it. You begin to express with definitiveness, with confidence. That comes from the embodiment of the stomach. So as you clean out the insecurities all through the body, you become congruent. You can start to truly experience having, and you can move through these layers. Now remember these layers. At first, you gotta learn to love this now. Then you gotta learn to look at your goal and just love the idea of your goal. This is if you're in a lot of business. If you you're not in a lot of resistance, just create the goal and go manifest it. Read it every day and start to go through it. If you guys want another video on that, actually on how I work my morning goal process and the VAK goal process to really embody and clean this stuff out, I'll do it in one of the upcoming videos here, because this series is getting really interesting on intention, having, the energetic now. And I can even go deeper into the energetic now and what it looks like and feels like to me. I've been requested, and again, I'm going to be rambling, guys. I've been requested to do some meditation. So I'm thinking about doing a having meditation, a masculine embodiment meditation. I got a lot of plans. I'm just looking for the time and the space to do it, because I got so many things going on, and it's coming though. Don't worry, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen, and that way it'll be the best it can possibly be. Now, hopefully you're getting the idea of this video. Hopefully you're getting the idea that as you become comfortable in rejection and the idea of the goal, and you become comfortable with the not being perfect, you're actually going to become more powerful. You're going to become more attractive. Women are going to like you more. And then you're going to start to get success. You're going to think you're going to get rejected. This is the weird thing. That girl doesn't like me. She can't like me. No girls ever like me. And suddenly they start liking you anyways, because you're changing subconsciously. Your micro expressions, your energy, your flow. You haven't recognized it yet, but the outside world is recognizing it, because your deep internals, your intentions below your thought are changing. And then when you start to get success, that's a whole new level of taking yourself out. This woman's all over you, it's your dream woman, and you don't even want to call her back. You want to run away because you're scared of getting hurt. This money starts to come to you in a business deal and you hesitate. And if you bought the crypto a day earlier, you would have made $100,000, but you hesitated, you know? Things like that will happen. Those are upper limit problems. That's a whole nother level. It's an easy level to fix once you're there, and it's an easy level to learn to laugh at, because that middle level, learning to dance in rejection and laugh at it, is the hardest level. Well, first off, I could actually say learning to enjoy the day-to-day might be the hardest level for some people, the mundane, the day-to-day. Then learning to laugh at rejection might be the next hardest. So it's a dance between those two, but that last level is pretty easy to take care of if you've got those first two down. So what I'm going to do is, below this video, I'm going to create a playlist of tension, intention, the video about the 3 stages, and there's going to be about 5 or 6 videos I'll put down there. And if you go through those videos, and even the vulnerability walks, and if you go through those videos, you're going to start to get these subtle principles at a much deeper level. My channel is about depth. It's a bottom of the funnel channel, as they call it. And it's not an entertainment channel. It's about people that really want to learn and change. And so if you like this rambly video that I just did today on the beach, and you want more of them, let me know. And definitely put a comment in the video about anything I said. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to be catching up with all the comments here this week. And I love you guys, man. You can definitely check out brianbeijing.com and get on the mailing list if you're not already. And remember, only the courageous really live. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Have a beautiful day.